Hey guys, it's Steve. I wanted to give you a brief overview of Vectric Aspire and show you how I use it for laser cutting, CNC routing, fiber laser cutting, and even 3D printing. I think it's an amazing program. It's very inexpensive. There's basically three tiers of it. There is Vectric Aspire, which is the flagship and has a whole lot of 3D design stuff in it. There is VCarve Pro, which is the next step down. It does not have as many 3D type features. And then there is Cut 2D, which is really inexpensive. And Cut 2D is basically just a 2D design program, which is fantastic for what we're using it for. I love Aspire for making brackets, making gears, cogs, pretty much anything you'd want to cut, you can do in there. It has an amazing nesting tool. It has wonderful node editing stuff, and it has vector tracing, which is great for making signs, cutouts, things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you a few of the features here. Just for those of you that do not have a SolidWorks account or a mastery of Fusion 360 or anything like that, this is something that you can get very used to quickly and become proficient in really like a couple hours. So take a peek and see what you think. Okay, so here's Aspire. And we're going to go ahead and start a new file. So we're going to do a 48 by 96. You can set your thickness if you're doing CNC and stuff like that, but you don't really care because this is 2D and we're going to be cutting a DXF basically. So I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. Now, let's start off with like drawing. Okay, so let's say we're going to make a flange. We're going to make a 4-inch flange. Oh, that's 40. We'll make a 4-inch flange right here. We'll zoom in on it. Okay, let's say we want the bore in the center to be 1 inch. So we'll go till we get the little plus. There you go, 1 inch. And then let's say we want our bolt pattern to have a 3-inch on center. Gosh, I keep doing that. A 3-inch on center radius. So there you go. That's 3 inches. Then I have to put my 1 inch back in the middle. Sorry. Okay. Now that's done. Now let's say we're going to put 7 bolts. So we will go to copy along vectors. We're going to do a 0.25 inch diameter bolt hole. 7 is already selected. And align objects to curve. So we'll hit OK. Boom. There you go. There's our 7 bolt holes. We'll go ahead and delete our circle that we're using as a guide. Now let's say we want to add a keyway to this, and we want a 0.125 by 0.125 keyway for the shaft. We're going to go ahead and make this actually 0.25 because we're going to go halfway on here. There we go. And then we're going to use our trim tool. Just go in here and gone. Alright, so there's our flange. Now, so we can move this part around in one piece, we're going to go ahead and select it, and then we will group objects. Now it will select as one piece, and we don't have to worry about moving our stuff around if we shuffle it by accident. Alright, let's go ahead and create a 2-inch by 2-inch L bracket. So we're going to go ahead and do a 2-inch wide by 4-inch tall square bracket, and let's radius the external corners a little bit. So let's do 0.125 so that this comes out right like that. Okay, there we go. We got a nice little external radius. Alright, now let's say we want a 1-inch on center square bolt pattern. Let's make it easy. So we'll go 1 inch by 1 inch, make sure it's square, and we'll just go to the center and place it right here. Now we want that 0.5 inches from the edge. So let's go ahead and do 0.5 and 0.5. What we're doing is creating a spacer block right here. There we go. So now we'll take this spacer block and select the main piece, and we're going to stick it to the upper side of it. Now we're going to take our 1" by 1" bolt hole pattern and select the spacer and stick this to the bottom of it. So now we know it's spaced 0.5 inches away. Now we'll go ahead and let's create a 0.175 inch bolt hole. So we'll put one in each corner. You'll see the little plus illuminates. A little target lets you know you're in the corner, so you don't have to hit it exactly. And there we go. So now we'll just delete our spacers, and we have bolts for half of it. So what we'll do now is we'll select this, and we're going to use the mirror tool. And we're going to flip it vertically and create a mirrored copy. So here we go. Boom. Done. Now, you'll notice when we click this, you don't see the marching ants or the dotted line or whatever, because when it flipped it and duplicated it, it duplicated the outside line. So we're going to get rid of that. And now we have the marching ants. So there we go. We just created a 2" by 2" L bracket. You can put this in the press brake, break it right down the center, and you'll have an L. Now I'm going to go ahead and create a couple of little shapes here, just to show you how we can use the nesting tool. We'll create some ovals, maybe create an oval in the middle of that. A couple just regular squares. We'll do that, and we'll use our draw tool here to make some little alterations to this. So I'll make a 2" circle, 2" circle here. Maybe go ahead and put a couple notches in this. Now you can be much more precise, obviously. I'm just having fun and putting some stuff here that we can tear up. Alright, so now you can take this object here, and you can either manually trim each piece so that you can make your shape, or like most other programs, you can actually go ahead and select all these and then hit weld. And there you go. That stuck them together that way. Now, if you don't want to weld so you get the whole outline like that, you can also do subtraction. And subtraction will take 2 overlapping vectors. You have to do them one at a time though. So we're not going to subtract. We're going to use the little trim tool here and just go. That's my favorite way to do it, just because I know exactly what I'm going to get in the end. And there you go. So now I created that, and it's all ready to cut. So I'm going to go ahead and hit close there. I'm going to delete this piece. Alright, so let's say this is a set, and you want to cut like 10 sets of them. Okay, let's select them all. We'll hit Genius Nest. Then we're going to do number of copies 10 and hit apply. Now we don't care about the tool diameter, the clearance, or the border gap because we have a micro kerf on our laser. We're not using an actual tool, so we don't really care. This is where you nest from. You can nest from the bottom left, bottom right, top left. So I'm going to go ahead and hit preview. Boom, there you go. It just nested 10 copies. Now let's reset that. Let's say we wanted to do 60. We'll make it a little harder for the software here. Boom, there you go. Just nested 60 copies. It does a pretty darn good job nesting, and you do not have to have a separate software to do it. Okay? From there, you can take your select tool. Oops. I gotta nest it again, sorry. Preview and then hit OK. We'll take our select tool, we'll select them all so they turn pink, and then you can file, export as a DXF. Then you can bring it right into SipCut and you have a nested file ready to go. One of the other cool things we have here is the Trace Bitmap feature. Now we can go ahead and import an image I took off of Google Images. You can import vectors, bitmaps, so you can do AIs, you can do SVGs, all kinds of stuff. I'm going to just pick this little Texas Lone Star thing I found. Okay. you can either choose color or black and white. When you have a color image, you can choose only the colors you want to trace. And with black and white, it basically knocks it down to 2 colors. Default corner fit, I usually like to be nice and tight. Noise filter, I don't really notice a huge difference when we do the noise filter, so I don't play with it a whole lot. Your threshold will be how much, how sensitive it is to the gradients. So like if it's black and white, but there's shades of gray around the edges and stuff, you can adjust the threshold so that it will take basically everything that's not white and bring that into the picture. And then your bitmap fading right here is for fading it so you can see the difference between what you traced and what you did. So we're going to go ahead right now. We're just going to hit preview. Boom, there, it went and traced it. So I'm going to hit apply and then close. Now first thing we want to do is actually delete the image because we don't need that anymore. Now we have this cutout. Okay, so now we want to analyze it and see what our nodes look like, see what we're going to have for cut stuff here. Okay, there's a pretty ungodly amount of nodes there. So we actually have a way that we can reduce them automatically. We're going to do Control A so we select all vectors. We're going to go to Curve Fit and fit curves to selected vectors. So there's a couple of modes you can use. Circular arcs, which I find circular arcs to be a little bit harder to edit than Bezier curves. So we're going to go with a Bezier curve, and then we're going to hit preview. Tolerance 0.01 inches is fine. Keep your sharp corners. You don't really care about the angle. And you definitely want to replace selected vectors. The reason why is if you go through this and you fit curves to vectors, it's going to create a whole second set of vectors which are going to overlay the first, and it's going to be horribly confusing. So you want to just replace them all together. So we're going to hit preview. Alright, so it just knocked down well over half of the nodes that were in there. So we'll hit OK. And now we'll go to node editing. Okay, now it looks like there's a bunch of nodes there again, but they're actually mostly handles. Those are just part of the actual nodes. So that looks really busy, but you know, 3/4 of them are handles and not actually nodes. But you can go in here, and if you want to spend some time manually deleting nodes, you can go in and just take a point out, and you can spend as long as you want doing this. I mean, it can take forever if you want to just absolutely reduce it down to no nodes. It's completely and totally up to you. I don't have a problem cutting files with a few nodes. You know, it's just the ones that are 2,000 nodes for a sign or something like that. You definitely want to chop them down. So anyhow, once this is done, you can go ahead once again, you can select it, but probably should use your selection tool, and then hit File and Export, and then you can export to DXF, and you have a cuttable file right there. You also have a cool way that you can do things like create grates and grills. Let's just say we want to make a grate made out of a bunch of little pluses. Okay, so let's go ahead and we'll make a square 0.125 inches wide by 0.50 inches tall. We'll create that. And then we're going to go ahead and copy and paste this so that we have 2 copies. Control C, Control V. We're going to use the rotate tool. Let's rotate this 90 degrees. There we go. Alright, now we'll use our trim tool. We'll go in here and we'll cut the middle parts out so that we actually have a plus. And then let's say we want to add a little bit of 0.05. Want to add a little bit of a curve to the corners here. We'll go ahead and fillet the corners so that it's nice like that. Okay, now we can select this and go down and use our array tool. So let's say we want to do 60 across and 60 high. And we're going to space them 0.02 so they're pretty tight. So let's go ahead and hit copy. There you go. We just created a nice little grate that we can go ahead and cut on the laser. So it'd make a good like speaker grill or cover for an old radiator. You know what I'm talking about. So we'll go ahead and undo this. You can do the same thing with circles and whatnot. So say you wanted to create a 0.02 circle, and you want to make a cool grill like on a MacBook Pro or something like that. You'll take that, you'll go down to your, and once you do, we'll do 60-60 again. We'll just go ahead and copy them again. There you go. So now you have a nice cuttable mesh, and it's very easy to get, very easy to do. So, let's say you were going to do something like make one of those welding tables, and you wanted, let's say you want to make like one of those welding fixture tables. So let's make a 0.375 inch circle. We will go ahead and use the array tool, and let's say we want those spaced, we want 20 by 60, and we want the gap offset to be 3 inches. I haven't made one, so I don't know what the spacing should be, but let's just say 3 inches. So here we go. We'll go ahead and hit copy. And there you go. We just created a nice grid. Now that is ridiculously humongous, so I'm going to go ahead and ungroup these and just take a small portion of them. Let's say right there. Delete those. We'll go back and group these again. Group. And bring them over to the middle over here. And there you go. Now we can take those and center them on the material, like so. And then we can go ahead and create our tabletop if we want to. So let's do, I guess 48. And we'll do 75, I'm just guessing. Not bad. Alright, so we can take this and center it to these by selecting first the one we want to move, and second the one we want to center it to. And then we'll go here. And there you go. So now we just created our fixture tabletop in, 6 or 7 clicks. Text. Text is really good in this app. Let's go here and let's draw an arc. Okay, let's say we want to create an arc right here. Alright, let's just create it. Okay, what do we want the height to be? We want the height to be 1 inch. 1 inch arc. There you go. So we will close. Okay, then we'll take our text. So let's just take a good cut ready text and we'll do testing. We'll put that right there. Now what we can do is we can select our letters and we can go to align text to curve, and then we select the curve we want and it'll place it where we want it. It can either be above curve, on curve, below curve. You can keep them vertical. You can do text on the other side if you want it to be upside down, for example. But I'm going to go ahead and align the curve in the middle and do that. Then you can go and you can do scale text to fill curve. And you also have spacing, which is like kerning in any type of layout program. So there you go. That allows you to space. And there you go. And then once you do that, you just go ahead and delete your curve. And boom, you're good to go. Okay, now let's say we want to do something like create a fan grate. What we can do is let's create a 6.5 inch fan grate, because that is going to be the size of a normal electronics fan for I don't know, a cooling fan. So we'll do that. Then we'll close it, and let's go ahead and say we have a 7-inch on center bolt hole pattern. So we'll go here and we'll make a 7-inch by 7-inch square, which we will center in the middle. And why did that do that? Oh, because we have radius external corners. So we'll just go here and we'll do 7, 7. All right, there we go. Now we're going to create some circles, and we'll do 0.175 for our bolts. How about that? So we'll go ahead and put our bolt holes here. They do seem a little far out, but that's not realistic spacing, but you get the idea. We'll delete the square we used as our guide, and now we have our bolt holes in the corners. Now, if you want to make sure that you don't accidentally move them, you can actually go ahead and select them all and group the objects. All right, now we're going to take our circle, and we want to have 0.125 fins in there. So we're going to go ahead, or 0.25. We're going to go there and we're going to make it offset inwards by 0.25, and we're going to hit select new. The reason why is it'll select the new one each time and allow us to just keep doing offset, offset, offset until it's where we want it. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and undo this. There you go. So the next thing we'll do is we'll go ahead and create a rectangle. So we want to create a rectangle that is 0.25 by 7 inches. Let's put that right in the center. Okay, now I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees. And then I'm going to copy and paste it. So Control C, Control V. And then I'm going to rotate the second one that I just pasted 90 degrees. And there you go. Close. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to use our trim tool. And we're going to want to go in here and just wipe out the stuff in the center. We don't want the center open. And then we're going to go and start our progressive pieces that will go towards the outer circle. So really we can run straight down this corridor here and just whack every cross piece. There we go. And we can do the same thing here. We will run smack down the center. And we'll go up here and do the same thing. You do not have to click each time. We had them add the feature so that you can just hold it down and whatever you touch will get zapped. All right, there you go. So now, let's say we want our first ring here to be a cutout. So we will just alternate each one. And we did not use an even amount of these outside pieces, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete the extra one here so that we have an even center plug. Alright, so how do we do this? We want cutout, so we want solid. Cutout, solid, cutout, solid. And we'll go down here and we'll do the same thing. So it's a cutout, solid, 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 and the same thing here. We'll do solid, solid, solid. So there you go. Now we just made a cool fan grate. So hopefully you enjoyed my 5-cent tour of Vectric Aspire and you see how it can benefit you for laser, plasma, routing, or whatever. The price is right, and I've been using it for well over a decade, and I use it for 99% of all of my cutting stuff. So I think it's awesome, and hopefully that helps somebody out there that doesn't have a full-fledged CAD package and doesn't have the scratch for one right now or doesn't care to learn one. If you have any questions, hit me up and check it out at vectric.com. And guys, thanks for watching and happy cutting. See ya.